So welcome everybody to Googling for Good Evidence. I'm Gail Matheson. I'm a Minot librarian, and Orvie Dingwall is also with us. She's the head of our outreach services department. So the first thing that I want to do is just our land acknowledgement. University of Manitoba campuses are located on original lands of Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past. And we dedicate ourselves to move forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. So what we'll talk about today, we're just going to do a quick overview of the Minot services that we have, in case anybody doesn't know the services that are available to them. Then we're going to talk about what Google is, some top search tips that we have, and talk about if Google results are biased, and then how to critically appraise information that you find on Google. So Minot is Manitoba Health Information Knowledge Network, and we are a part of the University of Manitoba Health Sciences Libraries, and we provide service to staff of Manitoba Health, staff of Mental Health, Wellness, and Recovery, fee-for-service physicians in Manitoba, and staff of participating regional health authorities. We have a list of the regional health authorities here, but it does exclude Brandon, right, Orvie? I got that. Yeah, just in case there's something that I'm not going to say.
Which is unfortunately a legacy situation of when the original agreement was in place.
Right. But if you're not sure if you have service, feel free to contact us and we can always clarify if you need. So the services that we offer are literature search service. So if you have a research question that you want information on some different documents, we can go through and search different databases. Through the University of Manitoba Libraries, we have access to some different databases that the general public doesn't have access to. So we can go through, do some searching, see what we can find for you, different articles, different citations, create a list and send you that list. Then we will do document delivery. So whether it's from that results list that we send you from the literature search, or if it's an article you've come across in some other way, if you send us the citation, we will send you the full text of that document. So if you're Google searching and you hit a paywall, don't pay for anything, send us the citation and we will get you the full text. We also do current awareness alerts. So if you have a topic of interest, maybe a favorite journal or a favorite author, we will create a current awareness alert specifically for you with your interest, and you will receive an email once a week with lists of citations. We also do education, training, and orientation sessions like the one we're doing today. We have a list of videos that you can access from our website of past sessions. We will also do one-on-one sessions, or if you have a team or a group of people that you want a training session for, we can do that too. We can do things online, we can do them in person. So if that's something of interest, you can just let us know and we can set that up. And then you also have access to UpToDate, which is a clinical care tool that is really great. You can search for a number of different articles or entries on different clinical care topics, and right from your desktop. Okay. So all of our services are free, and if you register for your library account, all you have to do is go to our website and go fill out a borrower registration form and send it to us at our general email address, or you can fax it to us. If you send it from a work email, that is good proof of the organization that you're working with, and that's good. Or you can send us a copy of your work ID with that borrower registration form when you send it. So our team is Orby, who is the head of outreach services, myself, who I'm a Minot librarian, and then Cheryl is our library technician, and she is the person that will usually respond to emails to our general email account. And if you request full text articles, she will be the person to send them to you. So right into it. What is Google? So Google is an index. When you're searching Google, you're not searching the entire internet. You're searching what Google has indexed. And they use web crawlers to go from page to page and index information. So it isn't everything available on the internet. If something has been newly posted, it may not be indexed yet, so you may not show up in a Google search. There is information on websites that an organization can say, please don't index this, and Google won't index it, and then it won't be something that will show up in your search results. So the most important thing to remember is that you are searching what Google has indexed in when you type in those keywords. So when you type in your keywords and you hit enter, the results that you get are based off of an algorithm, a proprietary algorithm that Google creates. And they're constantly changing, and they're very secretive, and they're based on all kinds of different parameters. And they change constantly over time. I think Google says that they will change even twice a day, and then they will have major changes every couple months. So that's something to keep in mind too as you're searching. Google's good for quick answers versus an in-depth hunt for information. So more popular answers to questions are great, or I will use it to find gray literature versus if you're doing a really in-depth research on something, you are going to want to go to other databases, not necessarily just Google. Okay, then we have our top search tips to think about when you're searching. So Google isn't case sensitive. So whether you type HIV in uppercase or lowercase, you're going to get the same results. It will ignore most punctuation in your search. When you use quotation marks, it will search for phrases. So it will keep those words together in that specific order. And the results that you get will have those words together. I'm going to go through these really, not quickly, but I'm going to go through them first, and then I'm going to go and do a demo, just so I'm not flipping back and forth. So I will demonstrate the quotation marks in just a few minutes. And then thinking through your terminology. So if you're thinking about myocardial infarction versus heart attack, if you're looking for more medical information, thinking about using myocardial infarction. If you're looking for patient care information, maybe using the terms heart attack instead. Google's default is and. So when you put keywords into that search box, it is putting an and in between. So you're going to be retrieving results that have both of those words in the result. And then use the advanced search in Google. So I'm going to pop over to Google right now and do a demo. Okay, so I'm just in google.ca, and I'm going to just start with heart attack as a search. And if we look at the results here, I'm going to just maybe a little bit there. We get a huge number of results here. If we put this in quotations and we say, please search for heart attack in that exact order as it appears in the pages, we get quite a few less results. Something else that Google is doing is it's interpreting your terms. So behind the scenes, it's actually interpreting heart attack as myocardial infarction. In some cases, bringing up some results. So there is a way that you can ask it not to do that interpreting for you. And if you go into tools and you go to all results, you can go to this verbatim option. So it will stop bringing in those myocardial infarction results. And you may or may not, depending on which terms you have, you should receive different results in here. So you can play around with your search a little bit to get different results, even with the same keywords. So if we were to do that exact same thing with myocardial infarction, out, now you can see it's automatically finding heart attack here. And it's anding our terms, and we don't have quotations, so it's not necessarily finding them in that order. And you can see how many fewer results we have here with myocardial infarction versus heart attack. So we can try and play around with that a little bit more and add in our quotations again. And you'll see our results are changing, but it's still bringing up this heart attack here. It's interpreting our terms. So if we go to tools, all results, and then try verbatim again, we get rid of that heart attack. And our results, here, it's pulling up myocardial infarction here. But you can kind of play around and get different results between that.
And maybe, Gail, I'll just add, like heart attack, myocardial infarction, pretty common terms. So helpful to use quotations, but I really like them if I'm searching for somebody's name or something that, you know, I might have heard a quotation or seen one, and I'm trying to find that original source. That's when quotations can be really important. And again, on names, in case I'm searching for Gail Matheson, Google will give me, you know, Gail Fitzpatrick and, you know, Henry Matheson. It will combine those two words. So if I only want Gail Matheson, that's when I'll be sure to use those quotations, just as another example.
Right, perfect, great. And then we can also go into our advanced search options, which is the tools option here. This does not show up until you have done a search initially. So just, you have to throw some keywords in and hit enter, and then you get these advanced search options. So you click on that little icon and you get to advanced search. Click on it. And it brings up, I'm just going to zoom out for just a minute, just so you can see. There's quite a few options here. And because we have quotations around myocardial infarction, it's put it in this exact phrase box. But if you had just keywords with the and, they would be up there. So you have a lot of different options. You can specify a language if you want. You can try using region. You can do some adjusting with when it was last updated. I like using this site or domain. So if we want to see what the Government of Canada has using those keywords, we can type a site URL in, and then all of our results here will be from canada.ca using that myocardial infarction. And you can also, again, use that verbatim tool if you want, and it will give you different results to it. It will change give you different results.
Yeah, maybe, Gail, I can just add, sorry to jump in again.
No,
just when you might be interested in searching a specific site. So I use it because I usually remember that I'd seen something of interest on a government site or somebody's website, but I just couldn't find that thing again. So then I might tell Google, like, Google, I know it's on there, just search on these sites. The other thing might be, we know a lot of health professionals in Manitoba like to stay informed on what other places in Canada are doing. So if you're doing that environmental scan, this can be really helpful to help focus to a Canadian context or a specific province.
Okay. And then we can also go back to that advanced search and then say we want to find a report. And usually reports are written in a PDF format. So then to try and focus in on just those file types, we can go to file type here in PDF and click search. And now all of the results that it pulls up are going to be PDFs. And so they're going to likely be a report or a document that has been published. You can play with the site at the top here too. So if you want to quickly see what the World Health Organization has with those same terms, you can just quickly change the site at the top and it will pull up those things there. You can also do just Canada. So if instead of throwing Canada in as a search term, and maybe you want to try just any sites, Canadian sites or sites that use .ca, you can eliminate that beginning part and just use site.ca. And then now you get Canadian.ca results in the results list here. So just a few different ways to kind of play around with those searches and try and get some different results. Then I was going to show Google Scholar. So I don't know if you have anything else that you wanted to add on Google, Barbie? No? Okay, then I'll just quickly move on to Google Scholar.
And maybe I'll just, while you're pulling up Google Scholar, I'll just encourage everyone watching, you can use your emojis today. So if there's something that you learn or that piques your interest, please feel free to, you can show us that using your emoji. So give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down or a heart. That's helpful to let us know that you're paying attention, but also that you found something that's of interest to you.
So Google Scholar, Google will index web pages. Google Scholar is indexing those academic resources that are maybe indexed in library catalogs, in different databases. So they're published articles. So I'm just going to continue on with the same search. So type in your keywords. And now our results, instead of being web pages, they are different articles. And you can see the article title, you can see author information. Here, this underlined author, you can click in and see a listing of the different publications that they have. If you find someone that you want to kind of follow through and see what else they've done, you can see the journal that it's published in. You can also click through and find other articles that have cited this particular article, related articles. So once you get here, if you click into the article, and you can see right away it says purchase PDF. You've had a paywall, you can't access this article. So now what you're going to do is you're just going to copy this and send it to us in an email and say, can you please get me the full text? And then we will send you the full text of this particular article so you can have access to it. Don't pay for it. You can get it free.
Don't pay for it. And also don't think you have to go without. That's literally why we are here. So we don't care where you found a citation, whether it was in a, from Google Scholar or from a friend or from a conference presentation, we are just happy to provide you with that information.
Yeah. So there is an advanced search for Google Scholar. So with these 3 lines, you can click in and then get to the advanced search here. It's very similar to the other Google advanced search options. You can search by author, you can search by publication. You can do a keyword search in a publication title if you want to try and change up how you're searching, and you can limit by date there as well. Okay. The last thing I was going to mention is data search, Google data search. So I'm only going to talk about it really quickly because it's fairly new in the grand scheme of things. But I find it really interesting. If you're interested in data, a lot of people don't know that this exists. And I use a Google search to get to it because you can see the URL is a bit hard to remember. So I just do a Google search for Google data search, and it brings you here. And what this is, instead of indexing web pages or journal articles, it's indexing data sets. So if you have an interest in working with raw data, you can search for things here. Now, it is fairly new, and Orvie is going to talk about critical appraisal. And I think for sure you want to critically appraise the things that you're finding here. But it is kind of interesting if you have a particular website, say Canada.ca, government information, you want to quickly find some data sets, and maybe you want to try World Health Organization, you can kind of pull up some freely available data sets and work with them. And then we could just do World Health Organization here just as very quickly. So it's fairly new. There isn't a ton of information, but I find it kind of an interesting thing, possibility to think about searching if you're interested in data. And I think it's only going to get better as time goes on. Can't remember the exact year it was released. It was in beta version in around 2018. So it is still fairly new, but it exists. And if you have an interest in data, check it out. So I'll just go back to our presentation. Because I think Google Scholar, we did data search quickly. And then those were all of kind of our top tips. And then I will pass it off to Orvie.
Great. Thanks so much, Gail. I'm going to take over the screen share here. And I'm just going to give one also example here, just about how I look at the results when I put in my search. So I put in, oh, sorry, I've got to share my screen. Wait, hold on here. You can see my screen, yes? Yes, okay, great. You also could have given me thumbs up, that's okay. All right, so I typed in, I'm interested in how climate change is impacting the health of Manitobans, or is it going to? What's the relationship there? You'll notice that I didn't ask a question. Sometimes if you phrase things to Google in the form of a question, it will give you really different results, or it will take you to like question and answer pages or message boards from the internet. So I always write my my questions to Google in the form of answers or in the form of statements. So climate change impacting health in Manitoba. And my first ones, you'll see that the first thing it says here in black, bold, is sponsored, sponsored, sponsored. On this topic, I am not interested in those. If I am looking for like where to buy ski pants for 9-year-olds in April in Winnipeg, I'm absolutely interested in ads because I want to know which stores still are selling ski pants. But on this one, not interested in ads. So sometimes you might want to click on ads, other times not so much. And then once I get down into my results, I'm looking at that line to see where is this. I'll sort of glance at the heading, which is in the larger font and has the hyperlink and the underline, but above it, it tells me where this information is coming from. So this is coming Public Health in Manitoba. This one, which is a reputable source. And then this one, International Institute for Sustainable Development. That might be a legitimate place. It might be a place that is spoofing itself to sound and look like a legitimate place. I'd have to look into that. Global News, a common media outlet. So that's just how, when I'm looking through, I'm sort of doing a quick assessment of those results. If ever I'm looking at these results and some of the, how climate change affects seasonal allergies in Manitoba, I'm interested. But if I'm looking at my results and they are not what I'm interested in, instead of then going to like page 2, 3, 4, 5 in my Google search, if the first page isn't relevant to what I'm looking for, I will change my search. So I'll move those words around. I'll think of synonyms, think of alternate things to be asking. So that's a good strategy too. And just like quick skimming, making sure what's there is what you're looking for. And if it's not, change up your search terms. So that being said, when we are thinking about anytime we're searching for information, we want to be thinking about bias and about the type of information provided. And so we want to be able to consider the algorithms that Google is using to determine which are those first results and which results come later or lower. So Google does take into consideration where you are. So if you search for movie times, it's going to give you movie times in around where you are and not movie times in New York City or Las Vegas today. So for certain things, it will be giving you local results, and probably that's why I asked about Manitoba. If I hadn't have included in my climate change search and just said, how does climate change impact health? I'd see it might still have that Government of Manitoba result higher. Although, like Gail and I discovered as we were getting ready for today, it's changing. And when we say Google changes its algorithm all the time, that's true. So a year ago, if we searched climate change and health impacts, that Government of Manitoba site would be high because we're just here in Manitoba. But today we're a little bit unsure. So if you are finding different results and you feel like you're using the same terms, that could be why it's things are changing. And again, if you want results for Manitoba and it's not giving it to you, then add it into the search. Or similarly, if you're interested in a different region, then pop those words into the search as well. And what results are displayed at the top also might depend on if you're signed into your Google account or not. And again, this is something that's changing as well. I know, 6 years ago, if I was doing a bunch of health searches at work, and then I would go home and do a similar kind of search, the results were drastically different. I was getting really reputable sources from my work computer, and at home, it was giving me more ads and more sort of like hokey kinds of things, and not the, so my Google at work was smarter than my Google at home. And a way around that was to sign into my Google account so it understood that it was still me and I was getting those same results. Now, again, because of that algorithm and the artificial intelligence that Google uses, it seems to be more consistent. But if you're interested, give it a try. See how smart your Google is at work versus home versus different places that you are. And the cookies and that was Google and cookie accounts. I showed you the ads, and you might, this might also be something that you want to consider, is browsing the internet in private. You might have any number of idea or reasons why you want to do this. You might be doing something you just want to keep private. And so to not have in your regular search history. You might just want to, again, not let your past search histories influence what you are. And I should have shared as well, we will be sending out the slides to you, so you don't have to worry about copying down these long URLs. We'll send them out and you can give them a try. Again, our favorite test examples from some previous sessions, they're working differently in Google now, so this might not be as relevant as before. Now, if you've been to one of our MyNet sessions before, you'll know that some of my favorite, I love to talk about critical appraisal and really thinking consciously about the kinds of information that you're looking at. And so the CRAP test is a really great tool. It's really easy to use and just helps you think through a really quick critical appraisal. So first up, the C is for currency. How current is the information that you're looking at? So if you're looking, if it was March 20th of 2020 and you were searching for COVID information, it was very important that it be like up to the hour current. But if you're searching for something and it doesn't, if you're searching for how tall are the tallest mountains in the world, that information tends not to change. If the article is 10 years old, that's going to be fine for that one. And so just think about what does current mean for this topic and for the purpose that I'm going to be using this information. Next is, sorry, I flipped through. I was going to just tell you what those were. So currency, reliability, authority, purpose, point of view. I've just made myself mixed up on my slide, so forgive me for 1 second here. These are the other elements. Okay, apologies. So reliability. Now you're looking at how reliable is this information here? Is it a source that you know and trust? For example, if I'm looking at what is the vaccine schedule for infants in Manitoba? If I go to the health, the government of Manitoba's Manitoba Health, I know that their vaccine schedule there is going to be authoritative and reliable. But if I'm on something that a friend linked to on Instagram or Facebook, I'm going to have more questions maybe if I don't recognize that source. So reliability comes, again, it's going to depend on what you're searching for and what that means to you. And also thinking about the authority. Is this person, who is the author? Can I even tell? Are they transparent about it? Are they familiar to me? And how trustworthy and authoritative do I need this for what I'm looking at? And again, sometimes if you're just looking like for a quick definition, I've never heard of this chronic disease before. I've never heard of this condition. If you just pop in a quick Google and it gives you an answer, sometimes that's fine, just so you can continue on a conversation or listening to a podcast or reading an article about something or whatever you're doing. And other times you might need really definitively to know from an authoritative source what to inform your practice. And also making sure you're taking into consideration the purpose or the point of view of the information that you've been provided. So is somebody trying to sell you something? Are they trying to share propaganda? Are they trying to influence you in a certain way? Are they just trying to, are they trying to present their information in a neutral and unbiased form? So just be conscious and have that sort of question in the back of your head as you're reading through whatever it is that you found. So a couple other elements to consider. Is this information at the right level for your needs? Sometimes there is information that's really great for patients who have never heard of a certain, maybe you've got a patient with you and you just want to send them home with a little bit of information. You want it at a level that's readable to them and that is not going to overwhelm them and that's going to provide some background information. But if you are looking to dive deep on a topic, you're really going to want to go deep, and that high level consumer health information isn't going to be right for you. So just consider what information needs you are looking for. And also think about the variety of sources that you've looked for. So maybe you've only been focused on what Manitoba is doing, and you might want to think, hey, I should broaden this out and look around Canada or around the rest of the country. Or maybe I should look not from a nursing perspective, but I might want to also look from a dietitian perspective. So there's, any number of points of view. You might also find a bunch of articles that affirm your sort of hunch as to how you should proceed on a certain health issue. Maybe just then change those search terms around again so that you're getting a different perspective. It might not change your opinion, but important just to recognize any conscious bias that you might be having and making sure you're checking out some different perspectives. Another great red flag that can happen is whatever you found, are there spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes, typographical errors? Is it really hard to read? And sometimes great authoritative, completely accurate information is presented poorly. And other times it's presented in that way because people are trying to spoof something or sell you something. So just because something has spelling mistakes or grammar or typographical errors doesn't mean immediately throw it out, but it does just help you raise some flags as to whether that's something you want to trust or not. Now, there's also something called a predatory publisher, and these are companies that make their information look like authoritative research information, but they are very much not. And what they're trying to do is have authors pay money to their sites to publish their information. And so they're not peer reviewed. They might, there's no checks and balances as far as that research. If this is something you're interested in, then we've got these other sites. We've done a past session on it. The University of Saskatchewan has some really great resources about it. And there's something called a Think, Check, Submit checklist. So if you've ever got an email that says Dr. Gail Matheson, or maybe it would say actually, Dr. Matheson Gail, so, there's, we know that you are a great researcher in nursing, in the nursing discipline, and we think you should publish here. You just need to pay us a couple $1,000 and we'll publish your article. If you've ever got propaganda like that, this Think, Check, Submit checklist can help you, because sometimes they are real, but sometimes they are not. So if you're getting those and you've got some stuff you're thinking about publishing, then this checklist is a helpful resource to you. So there's a whole bunch of stuff on the internet that is has ulterior motives, that is not authoritative, that is based on not fact, and is pure misinformation. And those things we absolutely have to be looking out for. And we absolutely can and will encounter when we're doing Google searches. But Google is still a really excellent, free, and accessible resource. It's easy to use, quick and simple, from anywhere in the world. It's really great. There's that potential for non-authoritative sources. So just keep that in mind and use resources, use your critical thinking skills and resources like the CRAP checklist. And just trust your spidey sense. So if something, is looking a little weird, or you just can't totally put your finger on it, take some time to investigate the source. You can also message Gail and I and say, I've come across this and I've got some concerns. Can you help me appraise it a little bit? And we've had you do that before, and sometimes we've been really shocked at what we've discovered. Sometimes it's taken hours, actually, and that's what we're here to do, is help to identify authoritative sources. Sometimes it's taken hours and we found out that it absolutely was a spoof type of piece. And other times we found out that it was completely legitimate. So we're here to help if ever those spidey senses are tingling, or if you found something and you're like, I know there must be something for real like this. Help me myth bust this, or that kind of thing. We can also help with that. So that brings us to the end of our session 4 of our pre-planned stuff. But we want to provide an opportunity if you have some questions or some comments, or even some tips of your own. So you can use the chat, or if you want to ask, we can unmute you as well. But we're interested in hearing more from you. They're all wildly searching on their favorite topics, using their quotation marks, not worrying about their capital letters, and reordering their terms or adding in some helpful first terms. Help them in their search. Okay, so in the chat, comment about, love to hear about Google Scholar. You're very welcome. It's a really easy entry point to get into some research articles. And again, go forth and use the tools like Gail showed you. And if you want to dive deeper or have a more comprehensive search done, absolutely contact us. We're happy to do that.
Yeah, and one thing I didn't mention with Google Scholar is it's really great if you're not finding anything anywhere else. So if you're used to searching in PubMed or some of the other databases and you're finding nothing, Google Scholar, it just has so much information indexed there that it's I will always go there as kind of last option sometimes, but it has a ton of stuff, so you may be able to find more.
Maybe just as you might be, so we're definitely curious if there was something that you're going away with as something you're going to try out, or that you found interesting, or that you learned today. We will be sending out the copy of the slides we used today, and also just a short little survey. Shouldn't take any more than 2 minutes to complete, just to help us prep and plan for future sessions. Okay, we don't see any additional questions in the chat. Always feel free to reach out to us anytime you've got questions or concerns, or want to share some tips of your own. Happy to have those. And it was really great to see all of you here today.
Thanks for coming.